For better understanding of the anti-money laundering or AML and terrorist financing or TF activities and its control measures, we all must know the global standards on AML and TF. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that affects everyone, even if you don't realize it: the global fight against financial crime. Anti-money laundering and terrorist financing have been changing their typologies rapidly. Global regulators are with cautions but yet to cope up with all the typologies efficiently. Among the strong regulatory measures, European Union adapts and updates different measures time to time. This measure is primarily called European Union Directives or AMLDs. First of all, we have to know what our European Union Directives or AMLDs are. Yes, these directives are common declaration of European Union for setting its strategies to combat anti-money laundering and terrorist financing all over the Europe and thus in whole world. These directives are global standards and specialists and practitioners all over the world follow these standards. It might sound complex, but its goal is simple: to make our financial system safer and more transparent. Among the European Union directives so far, 5 AMLD is very important, because this directive expanded the scope of obliged entities. It also addressed the challenges posed by cryptocurrencies by including crypto exchanges in the framework and requiring them to register. So, we are going to break down a crucial piece of legislation known as the 5th Anti-Money Laundering Directive, or 5 AMLD. What exactly is money laundering? Imagine someone gets money from illegal activities. They can't just deposit that cash into a bank without raising red flags, so they need to clean it, making it look like it came from a legitimate source. This is money laundering, and it's the lifeblood of criminal organizations and terrorist groups. It allows them to fund their operations, expand their networks, and continue their harmful activities. That's why anti-money laundering, or AML, regulations are so incredibly important. They're designed to cut off the financial oxygen that these groups need to survive. Over the years, regulations have evolved to keep up with the criminals. We've had several directives, each one strengthening the last, but the world changes fast. New technologies emerge, and criminals are always looking for new loopholes. That's where the 5th AML directive comes in. It was introduced to address some major new challenges, particularly in the digital world. Think of it as a significant upgrade to our financial security systems. One of the biggest game changers in 5MLD is its focus on cryptocurrencies. Before this directive, virtual currencies like Bitcoin were often called the Wild West of finance. Their anonymous nature made them a perfect tool for laundering money and financing terrorism. Criminals could move funds across borders with very little oversight. The 5th AML directive changed that by bringing crypto exchanges and custodian wallet providers under AML regulations for the first time. This means they now have the same legal obligations as traditional banks. They must perform customer due diligence, which means verifying the identity of their clients and report any suspicious transactions to the authorities. This was a massive step in pulling the crypto world out of the shadows and into a regulated, more secure environment. Another key area the directive beefed up is transparency around company ownership. Have you ever heard of a shell company? It's a company that exists only on paper, with no real office or employees. Criminals love them because they can be used to hide the true owner of assets, the beneficial owner. The 5th AML directive made it much harder to hide. It mandated the creation of public registers of beneficial owners for most types of companies. This means that in many cases, journalists, non-governmental organizations, and even ordinary citizens can now look up who really owns and controls a company. This transparency is a powerful tool. It makes it much more difficult for corrupt officials and criminals to conceal their ill-gotten gains in complex corporate structures. It's all about shining a light into those dark corners of the financial world. The directive also expanded its reach to include other players in the art and real estate markets. Why? Because high-value goods like fine art or luxury properties are classic tools for money laundering. It is relatively easy to buy a multi-million-dollar painting with dirty money and then sell it later, claiming the funds are from a legitimate art sale. To combat this, 5MLD now applies AML rules to art dealers and letting agents involved in high-value transactions. They too must now identify their customers and report anything that seems suspicious, adding another layer of defense against financial crime. Furthermore, 5AMLD placed a stronger emphasis on transactions involving high-risk third countries. These are nations identified as having weak AML and counter-terrorist financing controls. When a financial institution deals with a client or transaction from one of these countries, they are required to apply enhanced due diligence. This means they have to dig deeper, ask more questions, and gather more information to ensure that the funds are legitimate. It is like putting those transactions under a microscope to spot any red flags that might otherwise be missed. This coordinated approach helps protect the entire global financial system from risks originating in jurisdictions with weaker regulations. So what does all of this mean for you, the average person? Well, you might notice your bank or crypto exchange asking for more identity verification documents or asking more questions about the source of your funds. It might seem like a bit of a hassle, but it's all part of this crucial effort to keep dirty money out of the system. Every verification step makes it harder for criminals to operate. A cleaner, more transparent financial system benefits everyone. It protects the integrity of our economy, prevents crime, and ultimately makes our society safer. When financial crime is stopped, the funding for many other harmful activities dries up. The 5th AML directive isn't just a set of rules. It's a dynamic defense mechanism. Global financial regulations are not isolated. It should be measured as a whole. 5th AMLD has indicated some typologies that are very prone to TBML and crypto transactions. It represents a major leap forward in our ability to combat money laundering and the financing of terrorism in the digital age. By bringing cryptocurrencies into the fold, increasing corporate transparency, and expanding the scope of regulated entities, it has significantly strengthened our global financial defenses. The fight against financial crime is ongoing, and regulations will continue to evolve. But with robust measures like 5AMLD, we are better equipped than ever to protect our financial system and disrupt the activities of those who seek to exploit it. Thank you so much for watching and for taking the time to understand this important topic. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you would not miss the next deep dive on another issue. Stay safe and see you in the next video with some important issues related to trade, finance, or compliance. Thank you.